We're here at Sports Beach from Stackwell, and I have to ask you a few things specifically about sports-based films, which I'm sure you're an expert. First off, what is your favorite sports film?
So easy. My favorite sports movie is Field of Dreams
Uh huh.
because I saw that one when I was, maybe 8 or 9 years old. I love baseball, and it's just this wonderful, kind of fantastical story. So I've been a Field of Dreams fan forever.
Was it the storytelling? Was it the characters itself? What is it? What was it?
Yeah,
The
it's,
most.
it's all of that. The story is so unusual. It's about a guy in Iowa who mows down half his farm to build a baseball field.
Right.
And then, Shoeless Joe Jackson emerges from the cornfields, and it's about a family and sacrifice and this idea that he's hearing these things guiding him to do this. And it's just the whole thing. The story is so unique, but also the acting, the characters, the whole thing.
Yeah. What do you think? Speaking of sports-based films, what do you think is the most challenging thing you find when we are trying to integrate brands and marketing with films, such as, like that one, for example?
Well, there's a lot of ways brands can activate in the movies, whether it's a sports-based movie or anything else. At NCM, we're all about movies and pop culture in our show that leads up to the trailers in the feature film. So brands can do traditional advertising, they can integrate into our sports and other pop culture content leading up to the film, or of course they can do a more official partnership with the film itself, do integration or sponsorship around that. I'd say the most challenging part is just reminding brands that Gen Z audiences who are powering the box office today love authenticity. We reach them at scale. And whether sports is a passion point for a brand or anything else, is there's ways to engage those audiences with that when they're sitting there in the movie theater, with their eyes glued to the 50-foot screen, having a shared experience with their friends and family. So it's just reminding brands about the ways that they can access movies. It's not that hard. They can kind of just come right in and get their brand up on a screen in any way they want to, whether it's with the film or, in front of it.
And the total experience, right? Because you don't see that when you're watching TV at home or when you are going with friends and watching a special event. You go to theaters for an experience. You feel like people these days, because when I was growing up, my entire experience was going and watch all the previews. That to me was part of the thing, not just going to see the movie. Do you see that more and more, and how people really connect with the entire experience of going to see a movie previous to start the movie?
Yes. So live sports and movie going are kind of the two last big cultural shared experiences that consumers can have together. When it comes to the movie, the trailer drops and the excitement starts then. They're waiting for the pre-sale of the tickets. They buy the tickets. They make their plans with their friends and family. They anticipate it. They're excited about it. Then, the day comes. They go to the movies. They come into the lobby. We now have immersive lobby activations and experiences that kind of attract them. And this is another way brands can, engage with these coveted audiences. They get their popcorn, they sit down, and they are ready to be entertained. It's an opt-in, leaned-in experience. The whole shared piece with family and friends. I mean, some people do go to the movies alone, but for the most part, it is with others. After the movie, they take photos, they have a memory, they talk about it. And there's a lot of social chatter leading up to, during, and after the film as well, which is part of that shared experience. So I do think, especially in the last 3 years, consumers really value that opportunity. It's still affordable. It's something that everybody understands going to the movies. And then to your point about the couch, nobody wants to see a horror movie by themselves on their couch at home. There's something about sharing the screams and the scares, even if you're with strangers in that audience. So there's pretty much nothing like it. A live sporting event is probably the next thing that comes close.
Do you have a favorite movie right now that you see full potential for brands to tap into in terms of merchandising experience and to everything that could happen around it? Are you excited about any movie coming out?
Yeah, that's like asking me to pick my favorite child. No. So there's two that are really, I'll say three that are on the radar and should be on the radar of brands for the rest of 2024. First up is Deadpool and Wolverine, which is coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
This will be the hottest summer blockbuster and probably one of the highest attended R-rated movies in history.
Yeah.
It's just going to blow out the water. So for brands to get involved with that now because of the quick turn timing, they kind of just need to give us a call and we'll get them up on the screen around those audiences. But for deeper brand integrations and activations, another one coming up is Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah.
That's in September with, it's the long awaited sort of sequel reboot. It stars the original cast of Beetlejuice, with Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder, but also, of course, some new
Jenna
fresh
Ortega,
faces.
yeah.
Exactly, Jenna Ortega. And brands have a real opportunity with that one because it's this multi-generational audience where there's this retro vibe of all the people like me that love the original, bringing their children or going, teens going with friends because they know about the franchise, they know about the original. And there's a lot of opportunity for Halloween marketing, for, home marketing, for anything having to do with families. Like there's just a lot of themes within the film that are going to be really resonant, I think, with a lot of brands. And then finally, another huge one coming out is Wicked Part 1 over Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So Wicked is the most popular musical, and this is a two-part film. The stars are amazing. There are so many things about the story, but also the fact that Wicked, the musical, is the backstory of The Wizard of Oz. So it's like literally everybody kind of knows what it is, but it's never hit the big screen before. They have a lot of brand partnerships already in place. I think there's one with green nail polish that I'm excited to see come out in stores. But
in stores and retail, user experience in store.
Exactly.
That would be great.
So it's like a brand can activate around any of these in a number of ways, but some are going to go really deep and be actual movie marketing partners with the studio.
Got it. Okay, so are there ways you think brands should reframe KPIs when it comes to the cinema experience and the cinema platforms, or the measurements or results that would spark elevated creativity through cinema?
Yeah. Well, I love that question. Historically, movie marketing and cinema advertising was upper funnel, brand building, big stories on the big screen. And we didn't have the data that we have today. So now we have the largest data set of moviegoer information in the country.
Yeah.
We spent the last 2 or 3 years launching a platform called NCMX, which is sort of our data-driven audience analytics, insights, and measurement tools. Now we can target them before they come in. They see your ad on the screen. They're immersing in the lobby. We are, we know who they are. We geolocate, so we double confirm who they are, and then we can retarget them after the movie-going experience with ads. So we know to X client, they saw your ad on the screen, and then within 90 days, they filled your prescription or they went to your store. So we're doing foot traffic studies. We're doing Crossix for pharma category. We're doing web conversions. We have QR codes. We're doing app downloads. We can measure all of this with business outcome guarantees as part of their buy. So we've moved from just upper funnel to a full funnel solution, brand marketing, performance marketing. I don't think people know this. It's been something we've been slowly building, and we're ready to get the word out. The other thing I'll say with measurement is attention metrics are kind of a very hot, buzzy thing right now. You can make the most beautiful, creative piece, but are people paying attention when it runs in various channels? And we did a study, and cinema, kind of no surprise, is the most attentive audience. So if you have a 30-second spot running on our screen, based on an eye tracking study that NCM conducted with Lumen Technologies, we can tell you that they're watching an average of over 25 seconds of that 30-second ad versus every other medium. It's 4 to 7 times as much attention they're paying to ads in cinema. So
Wow.
telling this to brands and then creatively making sure they know that they can disrupt this environment, long form, episodic, immersive. We can do all these different creative things. You put that together with the data, and I think it's a really powerful opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that you said it best, the creativity around it and the big creative ideas that you create around the movie, and also whatever the product or the brand stands for to enhance that experience in theaters. I think it's endless.
Yeah, and I'll just add on the creativity. One of the things I love about being here at Cannes Lions and Sport Beach is talking with creative leaders like yourself that are willing to not just do 30s and 60s, but to do, as I said, episodic content, longer form content. How about a horror genre thing that drops with every horror movie that comes out this year? We had a partnership with Elf Beauty. They ran a 15-minute brand film leading up to Mean Girls, the musical, in which the brand was integrated. And then we did screening events for VIPs and influencers. So, they took over our entire Nuvi show with their piece of content that was created. So there really are a lot of ways creatively to get the message out, and it's effective.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm a huge fan of cinema. And so I have to ask you this.
Okay.
If you had all the CMOs and marketers in front of you, what do you think is that one question they need to ask themselves more when it comes to how can I leverage cinema platforms and really get my target audience connected to not only the movie experience, but seeing that brand of mine integrated into that movie? What do you think they're missing? What do you think they should ask more?
I think every marketer is wanting to access culture. They want their brands to be talked about in culture. When I was at the creative agency side, it was always like, what would the headline be that we would die for in the biggest, media outlets? Now it's that plus what are people talking about online? What are they saying? What are they thinking? And how can my brand be inserted into that conversation? And there's essentially nothing more culturally relevant than the movies. They're actually, if you look at the Google trends, search trends from 2023, and every single month, the biggest thing that people were talking about in social was a movie. The only things that came close were Lionel Messi and the season finale or the series finale of Succession, which is a tiny little sliver of people. So I think these marketers need to think about the movies as the ultimate cultural moment, and in terms of getting their brands on board, kind of like I was saying before, it can be as turnkey as just running a piece of content in that immersive environment on a 50-foot screen, or they can really go deeper with us to reach Gen Z and millennials who are powering the box office today to, create something more disruptive, create something that's more memorable, launch a campaign with a movie screening. It doesn't even have to be a blockbuster that's out right now. If it makes more sense creatively for that to be an older movie, we can bring that in and have everybody have that movie-going experience with the brand front and center. So I think they have to say, how do I get my brand talked about in culture, and how can I be more creative about the way I think about cinema?
Yeah. So my last question comes from my creative side, and you said the word disruption, right? In all the cases and all the brand integrations that you've seen, is there any in particular that really stands out for you in terms of, I'm imagining the possibilities are limitless. I've seen, movies that have their own popcorn bucket branded idea, or is there anything in the integration between brands and cinema that stood out for you over the years?
Yeah. Well, a recent thing that I absolutely love was with Ferrara, Nerds is the candy. They launched a big Super Bowl campaign with a new product that was, it's called Gummy Clusters. So it's like a gummy monster with nerds all around it. And they did a very interesting and funny creative piece that ran in the Super Bowl. And then when you want to keep that going, that Super Bowl hype, they came to NCM and they said, you know, we want to get this gummy guy on our screens. He's really resonating with these audiences. And they did, in partnership with us, the first ever holographic lobby activation where we did a life-size hologram experience of the Nerds gummy cluster or the gummy monster. Forgive me for our clients. But it's so funny. It's so, like, you just can't keep your eyes off it.
Yeah.
So like regular out of home, I think gets like 5 to 7 seconds of people seeing it and paying attention. And the average time with these holograms is 90 seconds of people just staring at your brand experience because it's fun, it's interesting. And again, they're already sort of opted in mentally to be entertained at the movies. So that was a recent one. And then I'd also just say, I mentioned the Elf partnership before. Doing a 15-minute film and then seeing Mean Girls, the musical, which was a really big hit in January, and then seeing the Elf brand in that film, like it was really full circle the way that they did a great job thinking about the consumer experience and how they would kind of think about the brand and then see it again and then see it again. So I think brands that are disruptive, that are willing to do things differently, again, not just with 30s and 60s, we're a great premium video distribution platform for that, don't get me wrong. But to think about cinema, the medium, the way that brands are envisioning work for TikTok. They don't just have an idea and then say, let's now put it on TikTok. They create an idea with TikTok in mind. The medium is part of the creative development. And I think we can do the same in the cinema space and get more interesting stuff out there.
All right. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ciro. This was fun. And thank you for being a Young Lions juror here at Cannes and also a shortlisting juror.
It's been an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.